You are being recorded.
Excellent. Good evening. I call this meeting of the Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission to order. This is a regular meeting on Monday, September 28th, 2020. It is 7:03 p.m. We will begin with a roll call. Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, present.
Mr. Lenke.
John B. Lenke, present.
Mr. Poplawski.
Dave Poplawski, present.
Ms. Chattel.
Chattel, present.
Ms. Langlois.
Darlene Langlois, present.
Mr. Nelson.
Christopher Nelson, present.
Mr. Werge.
Werge, present.
Ms. DeRosiers.
Missy DeRosiers, present.
So we will seat Alvin Hill for Randy Blackmer, Dave Poplawski for Mike Krogel.
John Rice is coming in now.
Excellent. Mr. Rice, will you verify your presence for the roll call?
John Rice, present.
Excellent.
Randy Blackmer is coming in now too, Joe.
Okay.
David, thanks for the email, but I only got half of it.
So with that,
Get the address.
with Mr. Blackmer calling in, Alvin Hill is no longer seated. Mr. Blackmer, are you there?
He's on mute.
Yeah.
Do they hear me now?
Yes, thank you, Randy. Okay. Get all that, Gloria? There's a little bit of moving around.
Yep, I've got it.
Excellent, thank you. Item 2. And I think Cindy might be trying to get back in at some point. Her screen froze, she says. Item 2, public hearing. There is none. Item 3, discuss public hearing and possible action. There is none. Item 4, approve the minutes, August 24th, 2020, Planning and Zoning Commission, regular meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lenke.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the meeting of August 24th, 2020. And if there is any amendments to be made, they can make it now or go forward.
Okay, a motion has been made to accept the minutes as sent.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lenke and seconded by Ms. DeRosiers to accept the minutes of the August 24th, 2020 meeting as sent. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, it will be a yes to approve, no to deny, or abstain. Mr. Nelson.
I abstain. I wasn't at the meeting last time.
Mr. Nelson abstained.
Nelson.
Mr. Hill.
Well, I'm not seated. No.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right, Alvin. Thank you. Sorry. Mr. Lenke.
JBL, John B. Lenke, yes.
Mr. Lenke, yes. Mr. Poplawski.
Dave Poplawski, abstain.
Mr. Poplawski abstains. Ms. Chattel.
Chattel, yes.
Ms. Chattel, yes. Ms. Langlois.
Darlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Rice.
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Werge.
Robert Werge, abstain.
Mr. Werge abstains. Mr. Blackmer.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Mr. Blackmer, yes. Ms. DeRosiers.
Missy DeRosiers, yes.
Ms. DeRosiers, yes. And Joseph Purdy Brown, yes. And I would just like to add that I thought they were really well done, Gloria, for a long meeting with a lot to get done, and a lot of information, and they were very well done. So thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Item 5, applications received. Planning and Zoning Commission application 20-20 property owner Gene Scott, 77 Main Street, map 169, block 91, lot 9, zone DMRD. Request to remodel part of first floor for third apartment. And this requires a site plan review by the commission under the newly adopted regulations.
Yeah, but
Hey, guys, I'm here on the
The-
phone. This is Cindy.
Great, thank you. Cindy's back there on the phone. She's at 1562 Kira. Mr. Rice.
Okay.
Joe, this is a subdivision, so we're going by the subdivision regulations, not necessarily the new, other than,
That's the next application.
other than what's in the, that zone, you know, that RMRD zone that she has to abide by.
John, the subdivision is the next application, John.
Oh, what's it, where we at? Oh,
77 Main Street, 2020.
This is for the remodeling.
Yeah,
For the,
yeah, but doesn't that site plan come into play in the subdivision?
It's not a subdivision we're looking at.
No.
Okay,
Wait a minute,
listen, guys, I'm real,
Let me back up.
can you guys,
yeah, go ahead, Cindy.
No, I'm sorry. Go
can you
ahead.
can you back up because my computer froze and died and,
Cindy,
now I'm on the phone.
we've
So I
literally
don't know
just,
where you guys are at.
we have literally just announced, we haven't said anything about this application yet.
Yeah, back up, Joe. I'm sorry.
What
I was on to the
What
next one.
application?
20-20, 77 Main Street.
Oh, okay.
I brought it up on screen share, guys. Can you all see now?
Yes, thank you, Tara.
Okay. I apologize. I'm sorry.
No need to apologize.
Is that the location,
No.
Tara?
Well, this is
No.
the first image. This is obviously Superior Bakery or some view of
Yeah.
Superior Bakery.
Right.
Here is a side view of the building, looks like.
Of,
Okay.
That's the back.
I'm,
okay. Yep.
oh, God.
So this is the back of the building with the loading dock.
This is Burger Furniture Building.
Can you back up? Yeah, I can't even see. I'm so frustrated here. This Zoom stuff is just going crazy. So the pictures
I can tell you what the pictures are if you want.
Yeah, but that's not the picture, though.
Okay, just 1 minute, please. Just 1 minute. Go ahead. I'm going to let Cindy go ahead and ask her question.
No, I'm actually explaining the application.
Excellent. Yeah,
The
go ahead,
pictures-
Cindy.
The pictures I sent you are the parking. There's, I believe, 2 pictures. One is the driveway that goes into, into the house, the property. And so that's parking there. And the second picture is there is additional parking in the back of the dwelling. The third picture is the garbage container. So that is part of the new regulations that they have to show the parking, which I neglected to inform Jean that that's what she had to do on the application, and that she had to show that the garbage was going to be enclosed. And my dog just took my paper. So that's what those 3 pictures are for.
Mhm.
The aerial view, which I don't know if Tara has pulled up yet, the aerial view
So we're looking at that right
is,
now, Cindy.
okay, Jean owns both of those properties. But if you see the line in the aerial view of the empty, the parking area, then there's a line there, so there's plenty of parking on 77 Main Street. That's what I'm trying to say.
Great.
Does anybody have any questions about that?
Yeah, if you go back to the first picture, that's, like Tara said, that's the picture of the bakery across the street.
No, it's the picture that I took on the bottom of the property. You look upwards, and that's going out to the street. I didn't take it from the street because I pulled into the property when I took the picture. So
This is the street here. Can you see my cursor moving?
Yeah,
The street would be here. So what she's saying is she's looking out towards Main Street. So this is Superior Bakery, but that's not the property in question. She's only
Oh, okay.
showing you this parking area.
okay, all right.
May I say something?
Yes, go ahead. Just identify your name and address, please, for the record, Ms. Scott.
Jean Scott, I own this property, but I live on 15 Vernon Ave in Falmouth, Mass. He used to rent downstairs and occasionally had 25 cars parked in here when they were renting. Which is why the kitchen and bathroom and everything was done.
So plenty of parking is what you're saying.
There's crazy parking.
Great.
thank you,
Mr.
Jean.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Rice.
Yeah, I don't question, because I'm familiar with the area. That's what I was questioning when I was looking at Superior Bakery. But the thing of it is that it's not on the site plan. If we're gonna approve this site plan, she or whoever did this site plan is good as far as the building is concerned. But I would like to see where that trash bin, that other picture that we just looked at, that has to be drawn in on this site plan. So if we're going to approve a site plan, it should show on this site plan along with the parking area. She can park, you can draw lines and say, this is where parking is, just to conform with the new regulations. That landscape buffer area, I don't know what you want to do with that, but in the new regulations.
You're going to delay this another month just to show. I took a picture of where the garbage is by the barn there in the back. And, if you want her to enclose it, we'll make that a condition that she has to enclose it. But it's cost an astronomical amount of money to build a site plan for a piece of property that has been there forever. Everybody knows it's been there.
I know, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that, Cindy, but what I'm saying, if this is the site plan that's been submitted, that drawing that's in the package, I'll go along with it, but it just, that's a good idea of updating or be a condition that it has to show on this site plan. It's just that we can't have a garbage like that and it's not showing on the site plan.
Okay, I get what you mean, John.
You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
Yes, I understand.
Because the
I
idea,
just-
the idea tonight is to approve this site plan. And the trash or the parking area is not on it.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Lenke?
Yeah, Mr. Rice has a good point there, but, and Ms. Dunn has too. All we have to do is make a recommendation on the site plan that for the garbage or whatever, have a fence put up. A fence is the cheapest alternative to hide the garbage thing and everything, which I think would be a good idea. You put it behind a fence and it's out of sight, out of mind. That would be a good thing to add into the site plan and designate exactly where it's going to be on that property behind a fence. And, eliminate all this other stuff. That would be my recommendation is, to enclose it behind a fence, and it would be out of sight, out of mind.
So that would be a condition that you would put on,
Correct.
that she would have to do before I sign off on it. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like a plan.
So we don't have to take this whole thing into the next month, 30 days or whatever it's going to take. If you put some conditions on, she comes in and all you got to do is okay it. Once you okay it, let it roll.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Any other thoughts on this application at this time?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be a this is Charlene Langley's. This isn't going to be a problem, obviously, because she has enough parking. But I know we wanted, we didn't want garbage out, but will a truck, if by putting a fence up to barricade the garbage so we can't see it, how, is Pratt Trucking gonna be able to get around the fence to get the garbage? Or, do you know what I'm saying? Like, this might work for this particular situation, but I think I was thinking I didn't want garbage cans and garbage lined up all along the side. I mean, if she has a trucking Pratt thing, it's contained, it's inside of it. It looks pretty neat if you keep it clean, but will it get in the way of, a fence get in the way of the truck getting in? There's my question.
Well, what she would do, Charlene, is she would put the fence on the sides and the back, and then on the front, it would be like a gate that would open up to the complete size of the dumpster so that the truck could get into it. She would leave enough room for the truck to lift up the dumpster.
You see that a lot at your Cumberland Farms and everything. You got two gates, got a gate, got one, boom, guy opens the gate, they drive in, do it, and out they go. I mean, it's
Right.
It don't have to be the whole length of the building, just enough to contain it, so it looks halfway decent, you know, because it's on Main Street, and then you have your parking, and you just have to make it so, talk to the driver, see what he feels is gonna be comfortable for him. That's what I would do if I was driving a garbage truck back in the day. Find out what's the best place. That's where you set it up.
So the fence should just be higher than the dumpster itself?
Yeah.
And that
Correct.
would apply. Okay.
20 feet. If the dumpster is 6 feet, you want to what's our regulations now? 7-foot fence.
7 foot now, 7 feet.
Put up a 7-foot fence. It'll hide the whole damn thing.
I will do that tomorrow. And I'm not kidding.
He's
Commissioner,
not, guys. He's not kidding.
Mr. Rice.
And gal.
Okay.
this is the first application that we have under the new regulations. So I'm
I
just
win a
trying,
prize?
I'm sorry?
So I should win a prize.
I'm saying is that if everybody, and I'm making an assumption that everybody read what's required in that downtown mill rehabilitation, all the requirements for establishing a business or a 3-family apartment that we're talking about. I just don't want to cut too many corners because the next person comes in, says, hey, the drawing that you got didn't show parking, didn't show, hiding the rubbish, it didn't do this, didn't do that. That's
Well,
my point.
Can I explain something? That when I built out the downstairs with the kitchen and the bathroom, I was building it out for Teague, which was not paying a lot in rent. I spoke with John, who used to be in the zoning, and he came down and actually signed off on the permits and everything and did the inspection himself. And I told him I didn't want to put that kind of money into it if I couldn't later use it as an apartment because of the cost I was putting into the space. And Teague was definitely not a very dependable tenant at the time, which they told me. And so all along, I always thought that I had that zoning. But I will do what you need me to do. Just let me know what it is so I can get it done and rent that apartment.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Scott. So right now it seems like Mr. Rice and Mr. Lenke have addressed screening the rubbish container and that the depiction of the parking and the rubbish removal and the fencing be indicated on the site plan as 2 conditions of approval.
You got it.
Any other comments or considerations from the commission?
Was there a motion made on this, Mr. Chairman?
I have heard no motion.
Then I will make a motion that we accept the application 2020 on conditions that we just discussed before our CEO can officially sign off on it.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Lenke and seconded by, was that Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Motion made by Mr. Lenke, seconded by Mr. Nelson to approve application 20-20 with conditions of enclosing the rubbish container and a fence and indicating parking and that rubbish area on the site plan.
Perfect.
Any discussion on the motion?
Joe, including that, now, we're giving Cindy the site plan that was submitted is gonna be updated with showing the fence and the parking area. Once that's on the revised site plan, she can make it, you know, use this one here, -1 or whatever she wants to do, then Cindy can sign off on it. And if that's the case, I'm ready to vote.
The CEO would then grant any permits for the application based on the revised site plan review. Is that clear, Ms. Dunn?
Yes, it is. I got it.
Excellent. Any further discussion? Tira, would you mind stop sharing so I could see everyone better? Thank you.
You got it.
Okay, so it'll be a yes to approve application 2020 with conditions, a no to deny. Mr. Nelson,
Christopher Nelson, yes.
Mr. Lenke,
John B. Lenke, yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Dave Poplawski, yes.
Ms. Chattel,
Susan Chattel, yes.
Ms. Langlois,
Darlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Rice,
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Word,
Robert Word, yes.
Mr. Blackmer,
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Ms. DeRosiers,
Missy DeRosiers, yes.
and Joseph Brody Brown, yes. So that the application is approved unanimously with conditions.
Yay.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Scott.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Application Planning and Zoning Commission application 20-22, property owner Gloria and James Fogarty of 373 Old New London Road, Salem, Connecticut. Request for property at 401 Ravenel Road, map 40, block 88, lot 169, zone RRAD, 2-lot subdivision.
Can I say something here?
Yes, please.
After it was pointed out to me today, I realized that that actually should read vote for approval. You don't have to have a public hearing on it because you don't have to have a public hearing unless the P&Z decides to have one on lots under 3 lots. So they will be coming in next month with the inland wetlands approval because that's what they're waiting for. So it's just to put it on the agenda for next month, but it's not a public hearing unless you want a public hearing. You can do that according to the subdivision regulations, which is on page 15. Let me get that piece of paper, which is on page 15, section 4A, public hearing. So you can decide next, if you want to have a public hearing on it. I do believe, Tara, did I send you the site plans to screen share?
Yes, she's sharing them right now.
They're up right now.
Okay, all right. So, but next month it would just be a simple vote to approve the plans.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Cindy. I was going to ask about that myself.
Yeah.
Bob Wirch, if it's not a part of a subdivision and it's just a lot split and it's 2 lots, it doesn't require a public hearing. It's just a matter of doing it.
Well, approving it, yeah. Yeah, that's it. It doesn't, yeah.
It doesn't require a public hearing unless, I didn't know if it was originally part of a previous subdivision.
Re-subdivision, yeah.
If it's not, then we don't have to have a public hearing or anything,
Right.
just approve it.
Right, unless you unless you decide to do it because you have that authority on page 17 on the subdivision regulations under section 4A.
Correct.
You do have,
Yeah,
okay.
but
All right.
it's not a requirement and it's really not necessary.
Right, right.
Let's not waste our time.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
So, so as Cindy said, the application is waiting for the inland wetlands approval.
Yes.
So we just need to put it on the agenda for next month.
Correct.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So moved.
Or can we bypass that, Cindy, seeing how it's not a requirement, and tonight to vote that we don't hold the public hearing, seeing how it is, it's only 2 lots?
Well, yeah, so I think Randy just moved to put the application, not as a public hearing, the application on next month's agenda.
That was my intent.
Why do we have to put it on next month's agenda?
That was
We
gonna
just
be my
approve
question.
it as written.
Well, because it doesn't have all of its requirements met yet.
What requirements?
We're waiting for the
Inland
inland wetland approval.
To split a lot, we don't wait for that. We wait for wetlands approval on a subdivision or something. But right now, it's up to the ZEO to look at the wetlands report and go forward from there or not in terms of referring to our commission. It's just a straight approval of a 2-lot subdivision. Or a subdivision, whatever you want to call it. It's just splitting a lot.
Okay, you know what?
If they meet the wetlands requirement, Cindy approves it. If they don't, then they don't split the lot. It's quite simple.
Okay, can I just say something else here? An application came in to me and it says subdivision. I said, oh, okay, we don't need to do anything until next month. So I just put it aside, just copied the front pages for you. And then with further discussion with Daniel and with looking at the regulations, I said, oh, okay, this doesn't need approval unless you guys want to. So the whole thing is actually, it's not anybody's fault. It's just the way it just landed on my desk. Oh, okay, I need to put this on the agenda. It's a time factor. Sorry, guys. So I don't know what you want to do. If you want me to sign off when I get the inland wetlands approval, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion so we can do that.
Okay, Mr. Blackmer has withdrawn his motion.
It's just a lesson to me to pay more attention to what's coming in. Sorry.
No, Bob Wertz, the only thing I would look at is if it's part or were there any other lots cut from this piece? Then it requires our approval. But
Right.
if no other lots were cut from this piece originally, it's automatic. They don't even need to be here.
Right, Mr. Blanchett is here, correct?
Yes, he is. So my next question would be, they paid a $335 application fee.
Okay, well, that's okay. So I think Mr. Werge's question, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Mr. Werge's question is this a first split?
That's exactly my point, Joe. A free split is a free split.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Blanchett.
Yeah,
Good evening, everyone. I'm Daniel Blanchett with J&D Civil Engineers. I'm working for the client. There was already a free split taken out of this property. It's shown on the screen, that square just to the left of the shaded area. So we're not eligible for a free split.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Blanchett. So this application does require commission action. It does not require a public hearing because it is fewer than 4 lots. It is well within our power to request a public hearing, although it does not seem to be the appetite of this commission to do so at this time. So there is commission action required on this application.
Bob
Thank you,
Words, I
Joe.
absolutely agree with the injection from Mr. Blanchett that it is part of a previous split. They did a previous split, so it does require our approval. Thank you.
And I guess I would have found that out after tonight's meeting when I actually really looked at the application and the site plan. So, thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Joe.
So with that,
So my motion would be in order again, right?
I would
Correct.
think so, Mr. Blackmer.
All right, I move we put this on the agenda for next meeting.
I'll second that.
Mr. Blackmer moves, Mr. Lenke seconds to put action for application 20-22 on the agenda for our next meeting on
Is-
October 26, 2020.
Well, what application did you say it was?
Did I say 2022?
Yeah,
I thought so.
because you broke up for a little bit.
Yes, 2022.
This
Question-
the whole thing. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
A question, Mr. Chairman, if this is adding those two with the free split, that's still under the 4 lots. So
Right.
why do we need a publication?
We don't. No one has moved for a public hearing.
I'm sorry?
No one has moved for a public hearing.
Okay,
We just need to
Okay.
act on it next month.
well, why can, I don't know why we're going to next month, I guess.
Because it's an incomplete application at this point.
Well, was it because of the inland wetlands confirmation?
That is my understanding, yes.
And there you go.
Well, all right. I don't know.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Bob Words, in other words, it was premature. It shouldn't have been submitted to us until it had wetlands approval. Is that correct?
Not really. No, not really. He got it into,
What do you mean, not really?
you know, when I get an application, I put a number on it and I put it on the agenda.
No.
And
You
Why
should have
not?
wetlands approval before it comes forward to the zoning board, in my opinion, my belief.
Okay,
Okay.
so the motion is to put it on next month's agenda. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, it'll be a yes to place application 20-22 on next month's agenda, and a no to do something else with it. Mr. Nelson,
Christopher Nelson, yes, sorry.
Mr. Nelson votes yes. Mr. Lenke,
John B. Linky, yes.
Mr. Lenke votes yes. Mr. Poplawski,
Dave Poplawski, yes.
Mr. Poplawski votes yes. Ms. Langlois,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Ms. Langlois votes yes. Mr. Rice,
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Rice votes yes. Ms. Chattel,
Yes.
Chattel votes yes. Mr. Werge,
I'm hesitant here. I'm hung up on, maybe that should have been more in the discussion and the vote, but the statute requires submission to the wetlands review before submitted to the PZ. Some people opt to go to wetlands first. But I'll just abstain.
Mr. Werge abstains. Mr. Blackmer,
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Mr. Blackmer votes yes. Ms. DeRosiers,
Missy DeRosiers, yes.
Mr. Rogers votes yes. Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Item 6, applications received after agenda posted.
none, thank God.
Item 7, citizens' comment. If there's anyone interested in commenting at this time, I'm not sure I see one. additional person, and I'm not sure if they're able to access the chat or able to unmute themselves and speak if they wish to. Okay, I'm going to move on and would ask the commission to indulge if the person does wish to speak, that we be able to revisit citizens' comments, if there's no objection.
No objection.
Item 8, reports of officers and staff. 8A, Director of Planning and Development report.
Well, I was holding my report, guys, just to talk about the POCD later, so I will continue to do that. Well, with one exception. I had mentioned individually to Alvin, and I've mentioned to a couple of you individually, and it's relevant because we were just talking about, a subdivision application that came up. Obviously, the subdivision regulations are going to need to be looked at, and there are areas where they may conflict with what we just put in for the new regulations. So anybody who's willing to take that time to look at those and identify where there might be points of trouble that we could amend in the short term, so that we don't find ourselves in conflict with what we just put down on paper, that would be helpful.
Thank you, Kira. Item 8B, ZEO memo.
Joe, can we comment?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm speeding ahead. Mr. Ranks.
Just commenting on that, in that one of the emails I was reading from Tara, I don't know if it's another committee or what, but putting a deadline, I think it was on that plan of conservation and development of the end of December, that we'll have all this subdivision regs completed. For the most part, it's been working. I don't know. I'm not in favor of a hurry up finish and let's do the subdivision regs. I don't think we have to do that in such a time, especially on Zoom. I would prefer to have it done when we get back into the town hall or the library for our face of one-on-one meetings.
So I'm going to.
I don't think it's something that has to be done tomorrow.
For Tira, the POCD does have a statutory date by which we need to finish it. That's not the POCD.
Right. Well, that's right. But there's no, Joe, I've been on, as you know, a while, and there was times when that POCD hadn't been updated for several years. Not that I want to not update it. It's just that it be updated, but I don't know why we have to hurry and update that.
We do, John. We're already actually out of compliance because there was an error, and it's already affected at least one state grant application that Carolyn made actually for the cemeteries maintenance grant. Now it is something that we can work around, but we are out of compliance, and I've already dealt with it with OPM. And we can't go any faster than December.
But that's
at this point.
I'm sorry, but that's the total package of the POCD. But can't we just submit the current regulations, and then when we get back to face to face, revise this subdivision regulation and spend some time?
Two different things that we're talking.
I think you're putting two things together, John. The POCD is a standalone document, right, and the subdivision regulations are a standalone document.
Exactly. But
so it is my plan with this commission, unless they opt to do otherwise, to look at the subdivision regulations starting in 2021. Not before the POCD is done. But in the meantime, there may be areas, because we just changed our regulations, where they are in conflict with our current subdivision regulations. So that's what I would say we would want to look to do some quick amendments in the meantime.
But didn't I read in that plan of conservation all the items that have to be addressed? And it did say the subdivision that you were going to update the subdivision regulations?
That is a recommendation we're making as a part of the plan of conservation and development, yes, but that's a 10-year plan. although I would like that to happen next year to keep us with the momentum that we've had. If for some reason the commission decides to push the subdivision regulations out further, there's no penalty involved in that. The POCD is the document which is freestanding, which must be drafted, completed, and accepted by P&Z by the end of the year.
Exactly, but it doesn't have.
Is that clear?
Yes, but it doesn't have, it, like you're saying, it's two different documents. We don't have to have an updated subdivision regulations into that POCD
Right.
before you submit it.
Yeah, and John,
That is correct. Nobody's suggesting that.
Well, that's the way I read that, your goals for that. All of that has to be done in that POCD. Okay.
Yes, it's a recommendation, John, within a 10-year plan to update the subdivision regulations consistently with the other things we've updated.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. It's in a 10-year plan.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Lanky.
My question to Tara is what she just said is that under I just drew a senior citizen moment. The two, the other one does, the subdivision does not have to be done really per se by the end of the year. We have next year.
No.
But what she's recommending, if I understand a little bit, is that any comments or whatever we read, when we read it, we see something that maybe could be conflicting to what we got now. We have the time to make the change and then get it incorporated into next year so it is officially done for the next 10 years. Would I be somewhere close to what you're trying to say there, Tara?
Close enough for horseshoes.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, I mean, why should
Yeah. We're talking about something that is not in need of resolve right now. The issue of since we just updated the regulations, we just want to find out where we may have issues that come up with the unamended document, right? That's the short-term thing for this commission. The slightly less short-term thing, but still before the end of the year, is the completion of the plan of conservation and development. And then after that, at some undisclosed point, we would be looking at the subdivision regulations. I have, however, included that update as an action item to put into the 10-year plan for the POCD. So those are 3 or 4 completely discrete items.
Thank you. Any other questions on Tara's report? Okay. Item
Tara.
D, CEO memo. Anything, Cindy, that you want to draw our attention to specifically in the memo?
I think everything's on the agenda.
Yeah.
But since this is an opportunity for me to speak, considering the mix-up on the application 2022, I think I'm going to require that any applications that have dropped off into the office, they make an appointment with me, because this was just dropped off when I wasn't there, so that I can sit down and talk with the person who's sending in the application, so we don't have this kind of mess up again. So that's my recommendation, or if anybody has any comments on it. So,
okay.
and I can easily contact all the engineers, engineering firms, design firms that we worked with, and tell them to make an appointment with me if they have an application.
Great, thank you, Cindy. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that for Cindy?
Yeah, Bob Wirtz, I support Cindy's position there.
Yeah.
What we just had happen is obvious.
Yeah. I think at least I'll be addressing that, Bob, and Mr. Linky, John B, couldn't think right quick enough, on the old business, and we're gonna update the website, because if you go to the planning and zoning, well, let's talk about it when we get there.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else, then item.
Okay. No, I'm good, Joe. I thought you were skipping my budget report.
Item 8, Town of Thompson Budget Report, August 2020. Mr. Rice.
No, I'm gonna have to talk to the finance department, because I'm looking at, there's no charges since July 1 through August 27, other than planning, the zoning office and the secretary. So all this other stuff, there was no charges. For advertising, I don't know where that's being paid for, all these notices. But I'll check into that for next month.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Item 9, correspondence. We received the Zoning Board of Appeals minutes, Planning Board notices from the towns of Webster and Douglas, and a memo from the Director of Public Works. Any questions or comments on any of those items of correspondence?
Public Works, I can't find that memo from the Director of Public Works.
Okay.
I don't know.
That was gonna, Bob, that was gonna be my discussion, if I can speak, is that, seeing how Rich is kind of, the way I'm reading it, he's signing off on that road acceptance. Now, is the developer gonna be coming back in? Or I thought we made a suggestion or recommendation when he did ask for us to approve that as a town road, that he had to fix all that drainage.
Talking about Madison Avenue.
Yes,
Mr.
and
Rice.
if he did fix all the drainage, because I'm pretty sure that I requested, until I get a letter from the Director of Public Works, I'm not approving that road. So would it be in order, seeing how we pushed it off till that August 3rd date to get this done, would it be in order to approve that as a town road, Mr. Chair?
Once again, guys, when I was putting my paperwork together today, the memo from Richard should have been put in the mailbox so that you would have it in your packet. And I'm walking out today. I have the memo. I have the memo here, if you would like me to read his memo to you.
It's in our packet. It's in our packet, Cindy.
Yeah, it's in the package.
Oh, it is in your packet?
Yeah, Bob just hasn't found it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it was in your packet.
Yeah, Gloria's on top of it. So, Mr. Chairman, what would you
I
think?
didn't see it in my packet.
Do you think that we move forward on approving this road, or does he have to submit another request for approval of a town road?
Yeah, so off the top of my head, Mr. Rice, I don't remember how, what action we took, how we left that.
I
Certainly,
know we gave him a deadline to complete it.
certainly if it's.
If you can remember what meeting it was at, guys, I can go over to the town website and zoom through the minutes.
That was before COVID came in.
Yeah, we were all together.
Yeah, it was around.
That I remember.
Somewhere he had that young couple in there somewhere around that time.
December or January, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The end of the year, December, January, even before COVID hit, maybe
Yeah.
not, wasn't February.
The great before times.
I am looking right now.
But Mr. Rice is correct. There was a deadline, and he had to meet all the requirements, if I remember correctly, what Mr. Rice said. And our town supervisor of public works, he wanted to make sure, we wanted him to make sure that he met every little bit requirement for approval before we say go ahead and say, yeah, done. And Mr. Rice.
The problem, remember, is that Rich had done a video scan of that pipe, and there was blockage in there.
Yep.
and that was to be replaced. And I go by there several times a day, and I see pipe. I don't know if it's the old pipe. I'm making an assumption, but there's two pieces of pipe that's laying up against the bank, and so I'm making an assumption after Rich's letter that he's corrected that problem.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lanky?
with Mr. Rice's thoughts, I'm gonna agree with him. Let's get if you want to call it another official letter to make sure the concerns that we still have are really corrected to, like, say, almost 100%. There is no such 100, but I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Rice. I think we should maybe just hold off on it until we get a real good official report. And then
I do have the minutes up. I just found them, guys.
Okay.
So Madison Ave Road acceptance, request for ZEO to sign building permit. John Rice watched the video of the storm drains and proposed accepting the road with conditions. Lengthy discussion ensued on the conditions in previous discussions. DPW director is concerned with suggested conditions. Okay, so here's the motion and the second and the vote. John Rice moved and Brian Santos seconded the motion to recommend to the Board of Selectmen to accept Madison Avenue with the following conditions. Shall maintain a surety bond in place for 1 year after all requirements of the planning and zoning regulations have been completed. All drainage conditions shall be completed by August 3rd, 2020. Inland wetlands concerns addressed by August 3rd, 2020. 3 certificates of occupancy are approved for construction and owner occupancy. Contractor owner shall maintain the road and all public improvements until such time as approved by the Thompson Public Works Director, CEO, and the Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission. And increase right-of-way performance and completion bond for road repairs for a grand total of $100,000. So those were your conditions.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may, well, we have that last sentence that in Rich's thing where he says, I guess everybody can read it for himself, he's confident it's now completed the repairs. I would suggest to have our ZEO look up all the other conditions to make the bond, everything else that's on there, the wetlands is being satisfied, and bring it into next month's meeting for approval of the town road.
Tara, what month? Was that?
It was December 2019.
Thank you. I'll write that down.
Okay.
So I'll make, Mr. Chairman, I'll make that in the form of a motion that have Cindy, if you need a motion, or just tell Cindy to look into the conditions and put it on the agenda for next month.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded for the ZEO to pursue action on the road and to have it on the agenda for next month's meeting. Any discussion on the motion?
Just another comment, Mr. Chairman. Cindy, for your information, have this letter again from Rich in the packet for next month. So everybody will have it, and it'll be part of the package of the approval.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Suggest that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, it will be a yes to set this on the agenda for next month, a no not to. Mr. Nelson.
Christopher Nelson, yes.
Mr. Nelson, yes. Mr. Lanky.
John B. Lanky, yes.
Mr. Lanky, yes. Mr. Poplawski.
Dave Poplawski, yes.
Mr. Poplawski, yes. Ms. Langlois.
Darlene Langlois, yes.
Langlois, yes. Mr. Rice.
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Rice, yes. Ms. Chattel.
Yes.
Ms. Chattel, yes. Mr. Werge.
The words, yes.
Mr. Werge, yes. Mr. Blackmer.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Mr. Blackmer, yes. Mr. Rogers.
Missy DeRogers, yes.
Mr. Rogers, yes. And Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Item 10, signing of Mylar, subdivision Ken Weiss.
There was an error from the designer on that Mylar, and we don't have a block for you to sign on the one that's in the town clerk's office, and I have not been able to get in touch with him to get another Mylar. So I guess we'll have to keep it for next month.
I mean, if it's in order, Cindy, we could authorize the signature, and then once
I get
the block for my signature, you could let me know if everything else is in order, or have you not looked at it?
Okay.
I would move that.
Okay.
Is everything else in
And
order?
whoever made that motion, I'll second that motion that we authorize the planning and zoning chairman to sign off on this subdivision
Right,
once it's been reviewed for completion.
Mr. Blackmer has moved and Mr. Rice has seconded the authorization of the chair to sign the Mylar for the subdivision once it's been reviewed by the ZEO. Any further discussion on the motion? None. It is yes for authorization, no, deny authorization. Mr. Nelson.
Who?
That's you, sorry.
No, I couldn't hear what you, I have to abstain because he's a friend and a customer.
Mr. Nelson abstains. Mr. Lenke.
John B. Linky, yes.
Mr. Lenke, yes. Mr. Poplawski.
Dave Poplawski, yes.
Poplawski, yes. Ms. Langlois.
Darlene Langlois, yes.
Langlois, yes. Mr. Rice.
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Rice, yes. Ms. Chattel.
Oh, yes.
Chattel, yes. Mr. Werge.
Robert Words, yes, I found the letter.
Oh, good. Mr. Werge, yes. Mr. Blackmer. Sorry, Mr. Blackmer.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Blackmer, yes. Mr. Rogers.
Missy DeRogers, yes.
And Joseph Cody Brown, yes. Item 11, old business. 11A, discussion of updates to website landing page for planning and zoning and development. We do have some, I think, printouts of that landing page in our packet as well.
Is that what this is that you sent me, Cindy, to screen share?
No. They have that. That was
Okay.
if we get to that discussion on forms, if we get that far.
Okay.
John is taking this.
If you want, Joe, I can lead the parade here.
Sure.
In that, when I go on a town website, if I go into planning and zoning or the planning and development, depending on how I'm going into that website, it's two different things. So my recommendation would be to the commission is that that we look at what the responsibilities. If I look at the plan, I'm assuming everybody has that printout of that page. It says planning and developing, or planning and zoning commission, what we do, and it shows you the authority that we have from the state in chapter 124, and that's all it. And it gives the members elected to a 6-year term, and it shows all the members. And then if I go to the planning and development website, the mission statement is there, but then under what we do is process all zoning reviews and permits, and et cetera, et cetera. Does everybody have that, I assume?
Yes.
Okay, and I personally, that's not the job of the planning and development. That's the job of what we do of planning and zoning. So all of these are just a case that just happened in a few minutes ago. Process zoning reviews and permits. If Cindy doesn't get it, she has no idea what's going on. So I don't think all of those things, I think there's some of them, anything to do with the planning and zoning should be deleted off there and put into the planning and zoning webpage. In other words, if I log on to boards and commissions and that type of thing, and it's not going to tell me who's reviewing the process or anything else. So I would like to suggest that if I could sit down with Chris, and we do have a new intern in the town hall, and anybody else that wants to sit in on it, I don't have to be the only person, but I would like to update our webpage as to if I click on planning and zoning, I want to see what we do. My comments.
Yeah, I think they're all fair points, John. I think much as with many of our other processes, this can be as collaborative as you guys want to make it. I mean, it could be as simple as printing out a screenshot of this and redlining it. I don't like this. I think this belongs here. What's missing? It just in terms of the intern, although I'm sure that Mike can offer some assistance, as a social media intern, he's doing different kinds of things than web construction, but I'm sure he would be available to do some. The stuff that he does with the town website is posting news stories mostly. Just to clarify his role a little bit, he only has 10 hours a week with us.
Right. I was talking to Renee about it because I have another project for historical farm. But to my point is that I could see the point of contact for economic development inquiries fine, but I don't think that's the planning and development department to provide interpretation for zoning and subdivision regulations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think
that's meant to be Cindy.
Yeah, right, but it's in planning and development, you know what I'm saying?
So the way I understand it, John, from just reading, from the way I look at it, and I could be completely wrong, wouldn't be the first time, is that planning and development is a large umbrella that includes the planner, the zoning enforcement officer, the planning and zoning commission, conservation, inland wetlands.
But if you look at Joe, if I may interrupt again, if you look at the job description of the planning and development director, has nothing to do with zoning other than the administrative part of it. In other words, what it is that she oversees whether she has meetings with the three groups to keep abreast of whatever's happening. But that can't be reviewing permits and applications that come before the planning, whether the ZBA wants her or that office to oversee that, that's their thing, but I don't think so. Receive and investigate zoning complaints, well, that's Cindy's job. That's
Correct,
not-
and Cindy is part of the planning and development staff. This is the professional department, if you will. Right, everybody listed under here works in the office, director, CEO, conservation, wetlands. So this, although I certainly would agree that it's not clear who belongs to which of these actions.
Well,
as a member of the staff, planning and development staff, Cindy Dunn does process zoning reviews and permits and does receive and investigate zoning complaints for potential violation. That doesn't mean this couldn't be articulated better.
Yeah, it's just that the job of the planner is not, if you look at the job description, it doesn't say that it oversees of the planning and zoning reviews and that type of thing. In other words, if people are coming in, if I want to go for a subdivision or a review of a permit, I'm looking at this, I guess I have to go and see the planner. I don't go and see the CEO. So, like I say, that part of in the job description of the planner, several years ago, when Mr. Mahan was in the union, we were having difficulties with him overseeing things, and that's why we needed someone to overlook his timetable and all this other stuff. So that was the administrative part of it, not the review of this stuff. That's not the planner's job. Like I say, everybody, you can go on a website. I don't know if it's posted on a website, the job description, but look at it. That's my interpretation.
Okay, so So yeah, so we want to certainly make make it clearer, right, and delineate. We want everything to be easier for people to understand and grasp, right? So to that point, certainly some revision is in order. And I notice Christine's not on the list. On the, there's a blank space for member, and Christine isn't on the website. So let's get Christine on the website.
Yeah. Well, like I say, Joe, I think this how you come into the planning and zoning website. I think there's two different pages there, or when you first come in. But
Yeah, but what I'm saying is on the commission website, Christine Chattel's name is not listed.
yeah, well, it should be.
I noticed that.
It absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, of course it should be. So full disclosure, guys, I am an admin on the web page, but I don't look at it every day. So, you know, when especially little things like that, you know, that's just simple enough for me to go in and edit. Email is the way to get me to do anything. If it's an email, it's an action item. I do it, I delete the email. So yeah, anything like that. But the larger point of how do you guys want the web page, the landing page to look, the reason the whole conversation got started back when we were still embroiled in the zoning process, the regulations process, is somebody, I think it was Charlene, brought up that, you know, it's not inviting, it's not friendly, it doesn't give anybody any clarity as to who they should talk to about what, and it doesn't have, it doesn't look like we're asking people to come to us. It's just describing in flat fact what we kind of do. So that's why I would say, just like everything else we've done, you know, make a list of what you think is missing, what you think should be there. You know, is it hard to navigate? Is it easy to navigate? You know, just whatever can be improved. And then that's, in as far as their edits I can make, I'll make them. In as far as their edits that we have to do with the assistance of Civic Plus or with Chris Nelson, then, you know, those things too. And we'll just do the easy ones first and do the hard ones after.
So, so Tira, suggestions should be forwarded to you then?
They can be. I mean, you know, I am the staff person who is there full time, and you guys can send emails to me at any time, and I create little project folders for everything, and I move stuff there, and I work on it as I get it. You know, and that's what we've done with other things, and it works okay. We can do it any way you guys like, really.
Chris, is that something that you would be doing? Because I'm making an assumption again that you handle all the web stuff for the town. 'Cause I seen you in there. I seen you in recreation today. Is that just when they have problems with their computer?
I don't deal with the website, the actual website. I'll be glad to help you with, you know, to maybe talk to whoever we need to talk to, but I don't deal with the website itself. I just deal with the email for everybody. Everybody's email address, that's what I deal with as far as the website.
Okay, so the content you don't.
No, I have no
Okay.
access to the content.
All right.
Yeah, John, the content are the admins on the site. So that's mostly Marie and Renee. And then I'm an admin. I think Leslie is an admin on both the town site and her recreation site. Might be just recreation. And then the intern does have some editing ability as well. Marie and Renee are full admins. I am admins on certain pages, of which P and Z would be one. Essentially, any commission that I act as an advisory staff member to, I can make edits in the web pages.
Okay, because going, you know, it needs to be updated and definite, because if you go back to planning and zoning that you had up there, I think you, Joe, or Tara, if you know,
I can pull it back.
you're looking at board members. This is Robert Word Senior, the one, at least the one I have, and Gloria Harvey. Then it's staff contact, Cynthia, Tara, Gloria Harvey, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Not
Yeah.
sure
see,
what you're looking at when
I
you
think-
say that. I
I
see.
think you're on a different one then. See, like
Okay.
I say, when I go on, depends on, I think it's when I first go on to thompsonconnecticut.org, you go onto that site, and then it comes up a whole bunch of pages about Thompson. And if you don't hit the line that says the home and Facebook, you go to the one previous, that's what this is gonna come up with. In other words, there's two ways of getting to that web page. Not necessarily. I don't think it's that one.
Well, I'm still unsure how you're getting
Yeah.
there, so maybe next time you can show me what, because that
Okay.
doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense to me the way you're talking
Okay,
about
but
it.
Yeah, I couldn't find it,
Um,
like I say. It
Oh,
depends-
wait, maybe it's this. Oh, I might have just found it.
Depends
What
when
is this?
Depends when you first set up.
No, that's the same
No.
thing.
No, that's planning and development, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's when you first log on to thompsonconnecticut.org. Okay, at least my computer, it gives you several thompsonconnecticut.orgs. Okay, I'll stop in and talk to you and show you what I mean.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, you'll have to, because just looking at it here on the screen, I'm not seeing what you're seeing, so.
No, not on that screen, I think.
Yeah, but even even what we just did have up, right? It looks a little with the board members. Yeah, there's stuff that can be fixed. For sure.
Oh, sure, yeah, everybody agrees there's stuff that should be fixed. What we just have to decide is what those things are. So make your lists, check them twice, and it'll be the most boring Christmas ever, but maybe you'll get an updated website.
Get an updated website. It'll be more inviting. Thank you. Any other quick thoughts on the website?
Well, what I did, and if you want to do screen share on what I sent you, is I looked at
Oh yeah, thank you, Cindy.
the form sections, Planning and Zoning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, and I believe it's in color on the screen there.
Yeah.
I made remarks on every single area as to what needs to be updated. And we had discussed this about a year and a half ago, and then we got into the zoning regs, so then I just dropped it. And then John, in his spare time, generously went through the zoning regs and figured out, thought some forms were required. So I made comments on his suggestions. So we can work on this during working on the other part that John was talking about. So, but we do need to do some more designing on forms, and we have one form on there that still has John Mahan's name on it. So,
I will point out that, as far as I know, we're still waiting for online permitting to come through. The contract that had been started, the conversation that had been started through the building office, that company had the ability to build several different online application forms.
Good.
Yeah, which would be great. I don't know whatever happened to that. It seemed like it was moving forward, and then it kind of just fizzled out. I hope it's still in motion, because that would solve all of this.
Yeah, I can talk to Donna then too. See where that's going.
And even,
I mean,
I don't know if this is sort of like a bridge to that, but is it possible to have fillable forms? You may not be able to submit them online, but.
Oh, this system was fillable form. They were, they were drop-down menu fillable forms.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, you're right, Terry. It did sort of go by the wayside. So we'll have to find who was in charge of that. Was it the building office or somebody else?
Well, after a number of discussions in the the online systems committee that was formed, we reviewed a couple of different proposals, and I think we landed back where Terry and Donna started, which was fine. I could be wrong about that. Orla would know for sure, or Renee would know for sure.
Can everybody hear me? I'd be happy to speak on this rather than you continuing on.
Oh, yeah, great. Thank you, Amy.
We did sign on with the company. I know they were backlogged with 10 other towns that they were doing. I did ask Terry about it last week. I think it was last Thursday. And I will definitely follow up this week, but online permitting, fillable forms, sending stuff in online, that was all included in the program. So I will follow up first thing tomorrow morning on that.
Okay, yeah, great, because it's one of those things that pops in my head, and then, of course, I never get over there to say, hey, what's going on here? So, perfect.
So even with that, would we still keep this part of our website where somebody can click and see a form and then print it out and bring it in if they don't want to do the fillable online?
If I'm correct, the system integrated with the website. It worked. They were going to be able to integrate it into the website.
Okay. So yeah, we have to, there has to be some communication from our office in regards to existing forms that might have to be changed because of the new regulations, and then maybe any forms that I have those suggestions down below that John brought up. And do we have to design new forms because of anything that has changed? So they would be working with us then, right, Amy?
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm eating my dinner.
Oh, okay.
No, absolutely. They're going to work directly with you. I'll try to get a target date tomorrow on when they plan on coming in to do the install, etc.
Okay, all right, because we have to have input as to what we want on the applications, and then all those line items in our page there, they have to be correct. I mean, I put on the first one on the list there was subdivision review application. Behind it was the inland wetland application, so it wasn't, So
as I recall from the demo they did, and I believe I'm remembering the correct one, they essentially have a bunch of pre-built forms that they can then customize.
Okay. Great.
And so, any of your common needs, they would have a base form that you would then, look and go, oh, this needs to be slightly different here. What they wouldn't be doing for us would be building novel forms that they've never inventoried before. I don't believe that contract was meant to cover that, but their inventory was pretty wide.
Okay, that sounds good.
Joe,
That's all I have to say.
Joe, if I may, what started is when I was going through all the new regulations, there's several places that says a specific form, C form, so-and-so.
Yeah.
And I looked for it, I couldn't find it, so.
No.
I was bringing it to Cindy's attention.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Good work.
Okay.
Item 11B, Plan and Conservation Development Update Report. Vera.
Oh, you were cracking out. Is that for POCD, you said, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and feel free to chime in on this as well, especially since you were at the last one. So we're about 2 months into the drafting process. I sent, or at least I think I sent, the most currently updated revision through last Friday. And, it's been a really good process with the folks who've come in to work on it. The discussions are really, really good. You guys are all invited to be a part of that in as far as you want to. The statutory responsibility is that of Planning and Zoning Commission in the end, or really it's a Planning Commission and we just happen to have it combined. Now, as of this moment, Joe and Charlene and a little bit Brian Santos are the members of this commission who have come into those discussion groups, and that was just based on who replied to me coming out of when I was soliciting interest. But since it is the ultimate responsibility of P&Z to approve, Joe and I talked about this late last week. I'll send you guys each month that update so that you can make comments back to me, just like you did on the regs. We're moving very fast with this drafting process. Each topic gets 1 week of full discussion on its own, and then I just keep going back and amending and editing as I receive extra comments. We are up to week 9, starting tomorrow. The transportation section I'll be discussing with Dennis Blanchett and Jeff Bolte on an evening Zoom call. If any of you want to be a part of any of the additional sections, and they're all listed out in the proposed table of contents, just send me a note. I'll add you to my list for that working group. But other than that, it's, like I said, just like everything else. Comments, edits, additions, subtractions. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't sound like what we're trying to say. Like I say, so far it's been really good and really collaborative. Oh, and I left out Cindy and Carolyn. Have also contributed quite a bit. In fact, we've got some sections that Carolyn has really written coming up that I need to go back in and flesh out more. But if you read the planning listserv at all, and I'm subscribed to it, so I get them all that come through. Whenever plans of conservation and development are discussed, a lot of people sort of lament that they're often used just as paperweights. I think we have the opportunity to write a really good document that dovetails to the zoning regulations that we just put in place and a whole bunch of other things that people are working on, which would make it a more meaningful document. So input is great and more is better. That's what I have to say. Joe, did you want to add anything, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, no, you took all my talking points. I think it's been a really interesting process to be a part of. Certainly welcome any feedback and contributions. No, you everything I would have said, you said.
Well, there you have it.
But yeah.
Does anybody have any questions on the process? What we're doing, how it's working, anything that they read in the draft thus far?
Yeah, if you get a chance, really, I mean, take a look at it. It's an interesting read to me. I think it's really taking a look at where we want to be in the next 10 years, and I think a lot of the work that we've just finished has been about that. So take a look.
That's all I got.
Item 11C, Brickyard Road Bonding and Reclamation.
Basically, I just pretty much just talked to Brian. He's been busy with work, busy with personal things. He has not even attempted to start reclaiming it. I told him that this might not sit well. So I'm just looking for input from you, from the commission members, to see how much pressure that I need to put on him to start the reclamation. And I told him I would get back to him after I talked to you at the zoning commission meeting, planning and zoning meeting.
Bob Morge, we have the bond?
Yes, we still have the bond. He does not get the bond until it's approved, the reclamation is approved. He knows that.
Didn't, John Rice,
Right.
didn't we set a time limit as to when he gets it done? If not, then
Yeah,
we were gonna pull the bond.
We told him till August, and of course, I, in all fairness to him, I did not contact him in August. I did contact him like last week. So if you give me a firm date, another firm date, then he knows that there's going to be a little bit more pressure put on him after this meeting.
Was he aware of the first deadline to have it completed, Cindy?
Yes, he was. He told me in August, yeah,
Okay.
that he would be having, he said, come in August, I will have some work done. That's what he said.
That was from the July meeting?
Probably. Yeah, I don't have anything in front of me, so.
Well, my suggestion would be is that we give him October, because start going on further than that. There's snow on the ground, he's not gonna be able to do it, and then we're into next year again.
Okay.
So, I mean, just as long as you notified him back in July or whenever you did the first time, then.
Yeah. Yes, I will have to remember to make a phone call to him Wednesday.
I mean, if that's the pleasure of the commission, I mean, I think we have to,
Seems reasonable to me, Mr. Rice.
maybe we should make that, you need a motion for that, Joe, to get it on the record?
Wouldn't hurt.
It wouldn't hurt, right?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we authorize our CEO to inform whatever his name is, applicant. Is it Mr. Hershen? That's still,
Yes, it is, yes.
okay, that he has to have the reclamation completed by our October meeting.
Okay.
If not, then we'll take further action.
Okay.
Motion has been made.
All right.
Mr. Lanky seconds. Motion has been made and seconded to authorize the CEO to set a October 26th deadline for reclamation, the Brickyard Road project. Any further discussion?
What's gonna happen if it isn't done in October?
Well, and we're gonna decide that at the next meeting. No?
What usually,
The date is 26 October.
Well, I mentioned, I think is that if not, unless he comes up, he goes in a hospital or some other unforeseen reason, other than I don't have time to do that because I'm busy. And then we'll pull the bond is my recommendation and have somebody do it.
Mr. Rice,
Yes.
in the past, wasn't that ever done in the past? You pulled the bond, you had somebody do it on such projects. So anything above whatever the bond was set for, if the cost was more than the bond, that applicant or that person had to pay the difference?
I don't recall ever having to pull a bond, John.
Okay, I'm just asking,
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. You asked me if I ever recall. We never did.
You're the grandfather here.
Kept on going. That's why you'll see that this particular thing, how long has it been? He hasn't pulled gravel out of there in how long?
10 years.
Yeah, we never take action. I think it's time we gotta start taking
Well,
action. People will pay attention.
well, that's what it's all about.
Okay. Further discussion?
Does that answer your question, Charlene?
Yeah, sounds about the answers that we give all the time. Perfect.
Only this time, Charlene, we're finally gonna enforce it. We have no choice. We have to show that we're doing our due diligence now with the new regs. I'm hoping for a comment from you.
Any other further discussion? Okay, so a yes authorizes the CEO to communicate the October 26th deadline. Mr. Lanky?
John B. Linky, yes.
Mr. Lanky, yes. Mr. Poplawski?
Dave Poplawski, yes.
Mr. Poplawski, yes. Ms. Langlois?
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Ms. Langlois, yes. Mr. Rice?
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Rice, yes. Mr. Nelson?
Christopher Nelson, yes.
Mr. Nelson, yes. Ms. Chattel?
Yes.
Ms. Chattel, yes. Mr. Werge.
Couple words, yes.
Mr. Werge, yes. Mr. Blackmer.
Andy Blackmer, yes.
Mr. Blackmer, yes. Ms. DeRogers?
Mr. DeRozas, yes.
DeRogers, yes. And Joseph Crody Brown, yes. Item 11D, Bates Auto, Linehouse Road.
Okay, so the good news is that I went out there the other day and I literally drove into 65 Linehouse Road where cars were moved from 64 to there. And there is only one unregistered vehicle on that property now. So I was happy to see that. I did not drive into 77. Again, that is another place where salvage vehicles were put on that property. I did not drive into it, but I think I saw one. No, I did not see anything on that property. Take that back. The second, there is a unregistered vehicle at 64 Linehouse, the actual business, and it is off the road. It's not even on in back of the property. So it's parked on their grass there before the fencing. So that was good news. The second good news is I had a gentleman who came into the office, and I think I wrote down there on August 27th. And, well, on August 27th, I told the caretaker that lived in the trailer he had 2 weeks to get out. So on Thursday, September 17th, a man came into my office and told me that the caretaker will be off the property no later than Tuesday, September 15th, again, which no one was living in that trailer when I was there. What they did, I put this personal note in, is that I was told that caretaker, that was his life, Bates Auto. All he knew. And he didn't know what else he was going to do. So a group of men raised money for him, found him a job in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, at a salvage operation. And they hired him and they sent him down there to Myrtle Beach. So that was a nice thing to do. So I said in my memo that I had not heard from John Carpenter, who was a relative of the Bates family who was an interested investor. He actually did call me this week, and I told him that absolutely nothing can be done until the court case ends. No matter what he wants to do, he keeps asking me millions of questions. Well, he keeps asking me a lot of questions. And I said, there's nothing from this office, and what this office is concerned about is what I wrote in my memo. Is this operation a non-conforming operation? If so, we could not approve anything until all violations are resolved, because there are still additional violations. We're just sitting and waiting, because nobody really knows who owns it until that foreclosure case comes out of court. There's an attorney that's the executor, so it's still all up in the air. But at least it's cleaned up. At least 65 and 77 are cleaned up. 64 is not cleaned up. It still looks a mess. So that's the update on that. Any questions?
Cindy, I have a question or comment, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Moving on with them cleaning that, after that's all resolved now, is it my understanding that that junkyard permit was canceled by the state of Connecticut, that they no longer have a license to operate? And if that is,
they do not have a license.
I'm sorry?
Yes, you're right. That was that was
Okay.
pulled in April.
Okay, if that's the case, then they're gonna have to apply for a new license if that's their intent to continue or start up a new junkyard, no matter who the owner is. And it's not allowed in that area and has to be approved by ZBA anyway.
But it's
that's another hurdle he's gonna have to contend with.
It's still a non-conforming operation. It's 1938. So that's what. Yes, that is what you and probably the attorneys have to make a decision on if somebody
But
comes
if
in
that
and says,
permit was canceled by the state, it's non-operational, right? I don't know.
Well-
I just bring it up. Keep that in mind when it comes in.
oh, yeah.
If-
Chairman?
I have all,
I know that's the ZBA's prerogative to approve that.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Lanky?
To Ms. Price on DMV, the only ones that can, from my understanding, the only ones that can issue the license, because they're the ones that, so whoever decides to come in and take over operation, it will be licensed and then forward from there. Now, then, we have no jurisdiction over that because we don't issue licenses in our town. We don't have that jurisdiction. So it's all up to the registry, and they can still deny the new applicant not, for an application to run a salvage yard, or it's no more junkyard. They're called salvage yards. That's the political correct term today, is salvage yard. So,
Right.
and because of the salvage industry or scrap industry now, that's the words. So it all hinges down on the registry. We, if we want to give them an issue to say, yeah, you can continue on, but they're gonna have to follow all procedures, especially with the DEP, because nobody knows how contaminated the land is. So there's a big process. So registry, DEP, and them, they're all gonna be involved. So the best thing for us to do is just sit back and
yeah,
each state.
and that's right. And I do have the report from the Department of Energy and Environment, from DEP.
Right.
I do have the report.
Yeah, because
So
that's
that's
everything too.
But Cindy, isn't that report saying that their license was revoked? And if that's, to John, to your point, when the EEP searches for approval for that license, they're gonna come back to the town of Thompson and ask if that's allowed in the town of Thompson, and that's gonna be the ZBA's decision,
Well, yes.
not us.
Right. I'm not going to disagree, but I'm just saying we as planning and zoning, we can kind of should stay away from that, because that, as far as I'm concerned, that's not really our jurisdiction. Like you said, ZBA, let them have it. That's in their lap. But I doubt it if the registry is going to give them a license because of all the BS that's going on right now with it. It's just a big mess. And I only live down the street from it. So.
Well,
Bob Word, I have a question. Why is it ZBA?
well, the ZBA is in charge of motor vehicle operations, and I'm not making any comment on whether it's P&Z and ZBA until I go back and check them.
Okay. Thank you.
So I had another point on this. I just went out of mind. Oh, the reason why, I'm updating both you and the ZBA, and the reason why I'm updating it is because there are some key areas in the community that I know just from being here for 3 years, and even before that 3 years, that there are some operations that people are concerned about that don't give a good appearance to our community. So I just want to keep you up to date and to let you know the progress on this operation.
Yeah, thank you, Cindy. To your point, I for one appreciate the updates, and it may not be something that we're taking action on at any given time, but I do appreciate the updates.
Mr.
For that information. Thank you, Cindy.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman?
as soon as I get that road, I'll update you on that one too.
Mr. Lanky?
Yes, just to go back, yeah, there are some towns that I know that, other towns through the state of Connecticut, that because of my travel and everything, used to be called junkyards, but they're salvage yards. They use the word salvage now. I mean, they've got all kinds of things of how, if you drive by, you wouldn't even know they existed there anymore. And maybe 10 years ago, you would have drove by and you would have seen cars, like you said. So it all depends on how you want to set it up. If anything, yeah, we would have to set a regulation to say, well, you got to meet these requirements if you wanted to do a salvage operation or whatever. So, case in point, you know, we might have to think about something like that if somebody wants to apply for a salvage, you know, operation in our town again. You know, I mean, how many more can we have? You know what I mean? So there are people complaining about the ones we got now. So, you know, what we got to do.
Hey, for whatever it's worth, just to chime in on this, guys, I'm pretty sure we discussed junkyards or salvage yards in the rewrite process and intentionally left them out as an approved use. I mean, Cindy and I have talked about these cases at the office, and it seems to me that the only way that thing goes forward is if it is assessed as an existing non-conforming, you know, an existing one. So the revocation of the permit is, to me, implies that there's no salvage yard going back there. I mean, obviously it's up to you guys in the end, but I'm pretty sure the consensus of this commission was that that was not a favorable use, viewed favorably in the town of Thompson. So, although it does bring up a side point, and this is another thing that Joe and I discussed when we talked on Friday, and I should have brought it up under director's report, is I do think that you guys should set yearly, once a year, a commitment to say, hey, since we rewrote this book, is there anything that we've found that is not working the way we want it to? Is there something we're not allowing that we really intended to allow, or the other way around? Just to keep the document consistently up to date with the intent of the commission. And this might be one of those issues that you would be revisiting.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was going to bring that up in Commissioner's comments, but it's an important point. And
Joe, I see you looking at the clock, so not to belabor this anymore. If everybody goes on page 97 in their free time, they'll look at that Article 6, Section 2, motor vehicle related businesses. Okay, and have them look it up. It says the Connecticut General Statute designates the ZBA for populations under 20,000. So just everybody look it up in their free time, and that's it. We can move.
Oh, boy, that was nice.
We don't have to look it up, John. You just told us.
which is rather for us.
There's more to it. There's more to it. I don't want to,
Yeah.
you know, it's A, B, and C. So
Yeah,
I just
thank
want
you. Thank you.
everybody look it up, and you'll see why I said the ZBA.
Page 97. Mark it in your textbooks. Thank
Well,
you.
this new document, man, is great. We don't have to go fishing from one side to the other side. Yeah, it's right there now. Thank God.
Okay, moving on. Item 12A, 12 new business, 12A, approval by ZEO of home occupation, Planning and Zoning Commission application 20-21. Cindy mentioned this in her memo.
Yes, and unfortunately, I did not get out there to take pictures of it, so I haven't submitted the permit yet. So again, I have not looked at it like I said I was going to. So I'll have to wait till next month to let you know what it looks like.
Great.
I do have one other thing that came up today, and I don't know where you want me to discuss it. Whether you want to wait and bring it up under new business or what?
Yeah, well, so let's head to, I'll do the next new business item. And then, yeah, we can do that after that. The item 12B is Northeast Sand and Gravel Reclamation Progress.
Okay, I went out there, and he has the left side, as you go into the operation, he has the left side pretty stabilized, and there are a lot of rocks and boulders that he is going to be calling in a rock crushing company to crush it. And as I was reminded today, that to make sure that it's not near the neighbors, so I do have to go back out and check that. But it is coming along, and actually it looks a lot neater than it had in the past. I did take pictures and everything. So, you know, he's coming along just fine with it. And it's still in operation. They still have a lot more to pull out.
A comment, Joe, on that rock crusher. Cindy, when you go out there, when you mentioned he's gonna hire somebody, another company, make sure that they're aware of, we allowed them to have that portable rock crusher there, but we wanna be careful of the size of that machine that's gonna come in for the neighbors, because our regulations used to stipulate 1,000 feet. So I don't know what it is now, but.
Okay. Well, he still has to go because his application is under the old regulations.
Yeah, well, like I say, I just, if you have time, go out there and check when it's there, that's all.
Okay, I'll do that.
If he parks it next to Whittemore Avenue or something like that, or down next to Dunkin' Donuts, then I think we gotta have a problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, Cindy, was there something you wanted us to add to the agenda?
Yes, I got an application on my desk today when I came in, and I don't know if the board remembers a few months ago that we gave a off-site auto detailing home occupation permit to a gentleman on Riverside Drive, and he was renting there. Now he has bought. Let me just pull it. He has bought a house and on LaPorte Road, and he wants to transfer his application, his home permit, over to there. So because we gave him the home occupation permit under the old regulations, I went into the old regulations to see if we had a clause in there that said if the operation moved out of that address that he got the permit under, then the home occupation was null and void. The new zoning regulations state that so that clause was not in our old regulations, but it is in the new regulations that if he moves, then he has to. Let me see if I copied it to make it easy. I don't know if I did or not. Sorry, no, I didn't. So it's in the new regulations that if they move off of that out of that address, then they have to. Then the permit is null and void. So I guess I'm just looking for your opinion on it. I'm looking for the page. Sorry, I haven't my book marked up yet. Anybody know what page home ocs are on?
I'm pulling it up now, Cindy. Just bear with me for a second.
All right. Okay. Oh my God. I get this. That's weird. Where is it? Did you get it yet, Tara?
Yeah, I have it up on the screen. I'm looking for the specific provision. Yeah, here we go. Provision number 9, the permit for the home occupation shall automatically terminate when the applicant no longer resides in the dwelling unit. But it doesn't mean that he can't apply again in his new dwelling unit. It just means that, that the home occupation doesn't run with the building.
Okay, so my question is, because he applied for this under the old regulations and we don't have that regulation, we don't have that criteria in the old regulations, does he have to apply under the new regulations, or is he grandfathered just to move his business and change his business address?
Good question.
Well, it's up to the commission, certainly, but I would say that the implication is very strong, at least, that the prior home occupation terminates because it's no longer occupied at that home, and all he has to do is reapply in his new home.
But it does not.
What is it, a $100 fee?
It does not say that he has to do that in the old regulation. So my question is, because he received his permit under the old, the old regulations, and the amended regulations are changed, where do I go with it?
Well, why don't you
I think the logic still obtains, Cindy, because let's So let's imagine that he didn't move to another house in Thompson. Let's imagine that he moved to a house in Woodstock or Webster. He wouldn't still have a home occupation in Thompson. The home occupation is tied to a home and a person who lives there. If he moves out, the person who moves in doesn't get to, it's not like a special permit that runs with the land, and the person who
He didn't move to another town. He moved in Thompson. So we're going to ask him for another $100 for something that we already gave him last year. That's what you're going to tell me to do. That's what, not you, Tara, particularly, but the board. Is that what the board is telling me that I'm telling them to do?
Bob Words, I think you should be grandfathered under the old regulations and not have to spend another $100.
One time.
I mean, I can go out and look at the property. I mean, it's an off-site detailing, but there's certainly a little bit more country out on LaPorte Road than Riverside Drive.
I think if you went and looked at the property and then don't charge him the $100 because he technically already has the $100 for the application that he already did.
Right, under, okay.
Right?
Anybody else?
So is the other option then just to have him reapply and waive the fee? Because the home occupation has to be tied to an address.
Well, yeah, I would want him to reapply just so that we would know where he's at. Like where is he putting it? What does it look like? But then why would you charge him, why would we charge him another $100? Because we need money?
No, I think the suggestion is to waive it. Move the permit to the new address and waive the fee, and then everybody was home happy.
Right, I would issue another permit under that address after I go and look at it. And say, yeah, you're great here. Anybody else?
I think that's fine as long as you don't see any extenuating circumstances on the new location.
Okay. Right.
I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, I would remind you too, Cindy, that we gave the zoning enforcement officer a lot of discretion in home occupant.
Right.
So.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I had told him, I called him and told him I received the application, and I will be discussing it with the commission tonight and calling it Wednesday.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Cindy.
Okay.
Great. Item 13, commissioners' comments.
Mr.
Mr. Lenke.
I would like to compliment our CEO on her memo where she really did a good job of putting it out there, giving us the sections from the new article, new regulations that we adopted. Made it much easier for me to look instead of starting in the front and reading and then have to jump all the way to the back to finish reading it. Her plan action and also what our planning and development working with all of this and all the commissioners, the elders and the youngers and the ones in the middle. I think we did a very good job, and I hope this makes us go forward even better. I mean, we're not perfect, but I think we did a pretty good job overall. And some of the consensus that I had from people on the outside are somewhat pleased, but it's better than what we had. And I think maybe by CEO, I guess our applications have gone up a little bit for us. So that's a plus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lenke.
I have a question.
Yeah, Ms. Langley.
When do you think we'll be able to resume back in person? We probably should start talking about this now so we can wrap it up around the year 2022 before.
Good luck.
Yeah.
We don't really have a lot of people at our meeting. I mean, where it's kind of like the school meeting, when you know 500 people are going to want to get on Zoom, then you are prepared for that. So when we have less than 25 people at a Zoom meeting, we could have a meeting, and then if we knew it was going to be a bigger meeting, then we could, you know, either keep doing the Zoom for the people that like it and they can stay home and watch it in their pajamas and eat popcorn, but then for the commissioners, like, is that ever going to be an option? Or I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. So if there's other people that feel that they want to chime in, go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Charlene. I do think it's an important point, and I think you're right. I think we need to start exploring that and figuring out what that looks like and what, you know, when it will be feasible. And I'm certainly happy to connect with the Board of Selectmen and connect with, you know, look into executive, you know, beyond municipal, but the state level guidelines as well, because, you know, that's how we'll make our decision based on state and municipal guidelines. So I'm happy to talk to Amy and the selectmen and see what their guidance is and what the guidance from the state is going forward. And I'll get back to you next month or sooner.
Thank you.
Amy's still on the call. Amy, am I correct in thinking you guys are planning on trying some kind of hybrid live plus Zoom meeting soon?
Yes, this is Amy St. Ange. The upcoming Board of Selectmen meeting, I'm utilizing the IT department from the school. Heather and I are going to be working together this week to try to incorporate our live streaming equipment with Zoom. The Board of Education has already done it, and the Board of Education has met in person already. I also have some of the smaller committees commissions and boards meeting. I know Conservation met in person last week. I think with the new guidelines that are opening up with the third phase, it certainly opens us up to move forward with meetings in person. And again, like I said, we're going to test out that hybrid meeting at the next Board of Selectmen meeting, and hopefully that'll give us the green light for everybody else.
Great. Thank you very much, Amy.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, just
Rice.
ask the question of Amy. How many people do you think we could get into the Merrill Snee room? As you know, there's 12 of us, probably 13 if we count Gloria, I think.
I was just reading the guidelines, and then again, it escapes me. I was reading through phase 3 and what the indoor, I think it was 50% for indoor.
Okay.
So I'll check with the fire marshal with the, I don't remember the capacity, but technically could have 50%, I believe. But I'll double check that tomorrow.
Okay, my thought is that if the commissioners could meet in the community room, because I go along with Charlene here for once, is to, then if we have an applicant that they could be out in the hallway somewhere, staying 6 feet apart, then we could call that person in. So to keep within the limit of people that have to be in there.
Absolutely, and that's what we're hoping to achieve by doing the Zoom and the live stream hybrid meeting.
Excellent.
People could
Okay.
still watch from home, and then yes, you could have just the applicants waiting outside and entering as needed.
Okay, excellent.
And also, I think the medical data is coming in hot and heavy on in terms of the vaccine and therapeutics to the virus. I noticed in watching some of the news programs where they have 2 or 3 people, they're starting to get closer and closer together and not wearing masks.
Yeah.
The data does show that the virus is not particularly dangerous to people under 70. There's very few people under 70 that are affected.
It depends what channel you're watching, Bob.
This is true. This is true.
I think this is.
I have a question.
ventured a little bit outside of our purview.
Yeah, right.
Mr. Nelson, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just said, what about a public hearing?
Right.
Well, I was thinking that same thing, that for normal business like tonight, it's probably not a big deal, but if you get a contentious issue, some decisions would have to be made, at least while things remain as they are.
Well,
you know, tonight wouldn't have been an issue in a large enough room, but you know, you get something where you've got a whole bunch of upset people who want to feel included, then those procedures have to be very clear, I think. So a hybrid is certainly possible still. But like, I think we should probably just wait and see how it goes with the Board of Selectmen's meeting, see what they discover are, you know, potential pitfalls, and then come up with a plan after that.
Yeah, I think by the time we get there, though, they'll have a vaccine.
yeah,
That's
But
neither
not-
here nor there.
but not everybody's gonna take it, so what's the
Mr.
difference?
Chairman,
Mr. Lanky.
I have a question for Amy, if she's still on.
Yeah.
Amy?
Yes, John.
John B. Linky. My question to you would be, is there any way that, because the rooms down at the library, I know they close at 7 o'clock and everything, but they've been looking to try to open the hours up. Is there any way that we could use one of them, say like on a Monday night, till 9 o'clock or something, and it would give us the capacity, because you can have 25 people in a room. I guess that's the maximum in-house inside a building, and I guess it's like 100 outside and everything. Could that be used or tried, because the library is part of the town, isn't it? It's just my question, my thought.
Right, absolutely. But with phase 3 on October 8th, those numbers for the indoor increases anyways.
Okay.
Certainly, if you needed the library, that could be an option.
Well, like for us commissioners, we got 13 plus if we have all the people, it's not like the Board of Selectmen, you got X amount of people. Well, as commissioners, this commission, you got the 13 plus whatever applicants and whatnot. You'll be looking at 15, 16, it could be 20. I'm just saying that would be, since the library's got the bigger rooms, I mean, that would be sufficient for us, and it's only gonna be once a month. What would the process be for us to get to use the library?
Yeah.
I think John's got a good idea there, because remember, in the library, in the rooms, they're separated by movable petitions. So
Correct.
you could probably have the biggest room in town. We could have a public hearing even and still maintain the guidelines.
I'm happy to talk through some of these options with Amy, and so that we can have a plan going forward, if not for next month, then in the coming months, where we see how these are going.
Joe, I think the question maybe is a compensation of the custodial person, because they only work till 7.
Great. So yeah, I mean, those are the details I could talk through.
Okay.
Chairman, work on it.
Will do.
Make Ms. Langlois happy.
Great. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none. Item 14, next meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission's regular meeting of October 26, 2020. Currently scheduled via Zoom solo. Any updates will be shared. Item 15.
I make a motion, we close the meeting.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Ms. Langley, seconded by Mr. Nelson to adjourn. It is 9:06 p.m. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thanks.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.